What's going on, movie meals? The thumbnail, I have so much trouble with these anime thumbnails, but there it is. Dr. Stone finished it today. The English dub is what I had been watching, so that aired, the final episode aired today. I believe it was today or last night, and I binged most of it yesterday. I'd been watching periodically, but ended up binging a lot of it. And I'm going to say this before probably every anime review. Anime has a big stigma around it that it's just, it's over sexualized of women. It's this or that. It has a lot of stigmas around it, which I think are very unfair. I think if you're a fan of storytelling, if you're a fan of just any type of storytelling, you should be watching anime. You should be at least giving it a fair shot, not putting it off right away. Because some of the best stories out there are from anime. And with the animation, you just get to do a lot more than you can with a live action. And it's really cool, really great. I've got Vinland Saga, go check that out. But let's just jump into it. I want to talk about Dr. Stone and how my positives and negatives of this show. I started reading this manga months and months back when it first started airing, when there's only a first few chapters out. And I was interested. I'm a big fan of Super Eye Patch Wolf, his YouTube channel, and he had talked about some of the bigger ones coming, the big shows coming out, and I wanted to check one out. So I went and ended up reading a few of it and was a little bit bogged down by the manga. It's good, but I think some manga do translate better in the show. I think they work better as a show than necessarily the graphic novel. And Dr. Stone is one of those. And Dr. Stone, I think, translated extremely well, where they added a lot of cool elements with like Mecha Senku and all this stuff that really helps kind of explain the science and makes it feel a little bit more real. Not that I didn't get it reading it, but it just translated better for me. I felt it was a better medium to handle that kind of stuff. It's a very funny show, and it starts with at this beginning where you think it's going to be centered around these three, and they switch it to center around just Senku as then he meets the village. You learn so much about the village. You learn a lot about him, and when it changes that narrative and that focus, I think it really, really works. And the show, every episode you're invested, and it's because a lot of shows people kind of rag on. They don't like filler. They don't like if it's not creating this if we're not continuing the story, what's the point? And this show has a lot of that, not a lot of that, but this show will take a moment and a beat to say, hey, we're going to focus in on this specific scientific task, and that's what makes the show not boring. Because when every episode you tune in to compare to a lot of other shows where you might have an episode that's a little bit of a side adventure and it doesn't feel like it's part of the overall narrative, there are moments like that where it feels like we're doing that, but at the end of the day, it all is for the bigger purpose, and the science is so interesting. The way the characters are handled and the way it's written is so interesting that it keeps you invested, and that's something I really liked about the show, is it keeps you interested because you want to see what thing could Senku come up with from the modern era to where they are now that will help give them an advantage. What weird thing, ramen, is something you wouldn't necessarily think of that could really sway people over to try this new food. And I really like the creative ways they do that, and that helps then build those characters, and the characters are very fun. So when they get their sentimental moments of getting something that changes the game, like glasses or something like that, you feel for those characters because it really pulls you in. And I really really enjoyed this show. I don't really have any negatives, because it's when you look at a show like this, it's got one overarching theme. We have a war going on, and we need to win it and bring back civilization to the height of technological advancement. When you look at that narrative, there's a lot, that's a big wide net you're casting. So there's a lot of small things you can do inside there. And it never gets boring. And that's the best part about this show. I really, really dig the voice cast. When you watch a lot of dub anime like I do, it tends to become where you forget the actor's name, and you're just like, oh, that's this guy from this other anime that I remember. And that's kind of how I just kind of think about it. But they bring in a lot of different cool voice actors, people who are on other shows who I really like on that show, but have always been worried maybe they don't, being being in a different show, are they going to be able to really show that they can be two different characters? And a lot of the actors do that who are from many shows. My favorite is Senku, who's voiced by the guy who played Alphonse in the original Full Metal, and I love that because his voice is older, but there are a lot of moments you can hear that. You can hear Al yelling at Ed, and I really love that. But again, it's a great voice cast. This is not one I didn't end up watching in sub, but I did watch in dub. And I think the voice cast did a great job. The animation is very beautiful. There's a lot of really cool moments. The science is really fun. It makes you feel like you kind of at some points want to be like, let's go try that. There are moments they give you very basic stuff where it's like, hey, you could do this, just go grab this, this, and this, and Mecha Senku pops up and tells you what you can do to make that work. And it's fun. It makes you want to try, and it's a fun show. I think a lot of people like it. And it for not being action-packed, typical shonen, it ends up working very well because of the science. Guys, but what do you think of Dr. Stone? If you've seen it, please comment below, let me know. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks for watching.